about me. Forget about me. You look at the way the Attorney General of the United States was treated yesterday by a House committee. Had nothing to do with me. Forget that. What Attorney General has ever had to deal with that kind of treatment? What president has ever had to deal with that kind of treatment?
The answer, of course, is that no president or attorney general has been treated this way.
I'm Ben Swan, filling in for Steve Malzberg. Having been the first member of President Barack Obama's administration to travel to Ferguson, Missouri in the wake of Michael Brown's death, Attorney General Eric Holder's visit this week led some to ask what impact he could have on the divided community and just how unbiased he could actually be. We're joined now by former Department of Justice Attorney J. Christian Adams. And, considering Holder's divisiveness, we really have to look at this situation because the question becomes this. Can Eric Holder, certainly when we take a look back at the particular situation with the statements he was making about the inquiries into him, President Obama, criticism that's been made there, certainly he has made the case, not so subtly, we should say, that it really is an issue of race and that he has been mistreated because of race, that the president himself has been mistreated because of race. And while there may be, some elements of truth somewhere in there in regards to that, then the question really comes down to, Mr. Adams, who is on the phone with us, by the way, is he capable of being unbiased when it comes to Ferguson?
And you're asking Christian Adams?
Yes.
Well, of course he's not capable of being unbiased because General Holder is all about race. And, he went out there and said things he shouldn't have said. He went places he shouldn't have gone. He said things like he talked about his record of the police harassing him as he sees it. He talked about promising that change is coming. I mean, he made all of these pandering political racialist promises to the citizens out there that thoroughly disqualify him from being involved in this matter. But you know what? Even if he wasn't involved, it wouldn't matter because all the people working for him think just like he does.
When it comes to his power in this situation, the Attorney General has the power to do what in this case? To bring civil rights charges against possibly the police officer involved in the shooting, possibly the department? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, it's the code citation is 18 U.S.C. 241 and 18 U.S.C. 242. Those are federal laws. And, even a hothead robber has the right to walk down the street without being shot by the police. It's a federal civil right not to be shot just by being in public. So if, in fact, the cop just went up and shot the guy, deprived of a civil right under color of law, yeah, that'd be a federal crime. And so that's what the statutory predicate is for Holder being there.
So in this case, you're saying that it would be a civil rights violation to shoot and kill him. If I did the same thing, it wouldn't be a civil rights violation. I'd go to jail for, I'd be charged, but I would ultimately, if found guilty, would go to jail for murder. Why is it a civil rights violation here?
That's not true. You could also be charged under a different statute, 18 U.S.C. 245, which is, and it doesn't require color of law. It's just anybody, Steve, you could do it if you're acting with a racial intent. Those laws were enacted in 1870 after the Civil War. They've been upheld by the Supreme Court. If you intentionally deprive somebody of a civil right, if you walked up and shot them because they were black, you could be charged with a crime too.
But you would have to be able to prove that I shot them because they were black.
Yeah, not so hard to do in many instances. I've proven racial intent in court, and there's various ways to do it, and the Justice Department is highly skilled at doing it.
Very interesting. So who was Holder dispatched to Ferguson?
Well, what he has done is dispatched the Civil Rights Division criminal section. I used to work in the Civil Rights Division myself. And look, if you want to know who these lawyers are, they're nut jobs. You can go to PJ Media. We've gotten the resumes, a series called the Every Single One series. We actually had to go to court and sue the Justice Department to get these resumes. And when you read them, you know why they didn't want to give them up, because it's a series of people who are anti-police, racially saturated, paranoid lawyers who are now in charge of investigating the conduct in Ferguson.
So I take it then you don't believe that anybody he's dispatched there can make an unbiased inquiry into this case either?
Well, he thinks they can make an unbiased inquiry. Don't forget, these people think they're unbiased. That's the divide we have in America. The most rotted, rancid, corrupt, racialist lawyers that you and I think are rancid, rotted, corrupt racialists don't think they're doing anything wrong. They think that the deck is stacked against African Americans everywhere. You can't get a fair shake in the criminal justice system, that people act with a racial intent all the time. These are people who think totally differently from most Americans. They have enormous power. They are the Attorney General of the United States. They're the lawyers who work in the Civil Rights Division. So they will think they're acting in an unbiased professional way, but nobody else will think that.
Earlier this week, you made a statement about the actual race card. Your words, and from this article at PJ Media, the actual race card in Eric Holder's wallet. Can you tell me about this?
Yeah, Eric Holder has been carrying around a race card in his wallet for over 3 decades. This is a fact, and it's in my book. It's actually the first 2 pages of my book, Injustice, which we have posted right now at my Rule of Law blog at PJ Media, the first 2 pages of my book. And Eric Holder, back in 1971, when he was in college, he put a quote in his wallet, and he kept it there for over 30 years. It may still be there right now. I wish a reporter would ask, by a black preacher named Samuel Proctor. And the quote says that blackness is the most important thing that defines a person, that no matter what you are in life, whether you're low or high, because you're black, that's what you are. And when Eric Holder was asked by the Washington Post, what does this mean to you? Holder said, it means that I'm not the tall U.S. attorney, I'm not the short U.S. attorney. It means that I am the black U.S. attorney. And listen to this carefully. I share common cause with the black criminal. With the black criminal. And Holder has been carrying this quote around in his wallet since 1971. It is that central to his worldview. He doesn't get asked about it by any reporter. He doesn't talk about it, but it's what's between his ears.
And the quote you have here says, there is common cause that bonds the black United States attorney with the black criminal or the black doctor with the black homeless person.
That's right. And it shows that skin color matters more than anything else to this man. It's about viewing the world through the lens of race, that race decides if you get shot, if you get pulled over, if you get into school, everything. Race, 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 race with Eric Holder.
You know, when we take a look at Ferguson and we look at what's happening there, because there is a very real story here of justice or injustice that is yet to be developed, because we don't know all the circumstances surrounding Michael Brown's death. But what we do know is that it needs to be investigated. But it's not, in my opinion, it is not a black and white issue. It's not about what color of skin Michael Brown had or what color of skin the officer had, though that may have had a role in what ultimately happened. But it really does come down to a human right here, and whether or not his rights were violated and whether or not his life was unjustly taken from him. In your opinion, are we losing that throughout this discussion as media is a part of this and as it continues to build and almost become a discussion of race in America? Does it lose the humanity of Michael Brown's story?
Well, of course it does, Stephen. It does so very deliberately. The facts of the matter, what happened to these people whose lives have been turned upside down, are no longer important because of the energy, time, and money and taxpayer dollars devoted toward creating the opposite narrative, the narrative that now dominates about this story. Holder flew a Boeing 757 that normally serves as Air Force Two out to St. Louis with grand pomp and circumstance and a media pool in tow. You have crowds on the street. I mean, the humanity has vanished, and it's now an opportunity for the race hustlers to further divide America. And they're not going to return to the question. They're not going to return to the question you want answered as to what really happened, what happened to these poor people who lost their lives, did they deserve to? Those aren't important questions anymore. The important questions are, how can we further divide America to maintain our racially fueled power and, frankly, win the November elections? That's what this story has become, is mobilizing division.
How do you think it affects the November election moving forward? Do you think that that becomes some sort of rallying cry for Democrats? Is that what you believe the Attorney General's about?
Of course it is. Look, the Justice Department has always been in charge during this administration of finding an issue to mobilize the race base. In 2012, it was Texas voter ID. That's what helped them win the election, is this paranoia that somebody was out to get them, and so you need to go vote. There was terrible apathy among the black community in November of 2011 before the attacks on voter ID. This administration is always looking for an issue through the Justice Department to mobilize the electorate, and that's precisely what this is. There was a physical manifestation of my theory when a voting registration booth appeared at the scene of the killing. It literally appeared at the scene of the killing. It's become a way to mobilize consciousness along racial lines ahead of November's election.
J. Christian Adams with pjmedia.com. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, have a great weekend. Up next, the executive director of Choice Media and a Common Core opponent, Bob Bowden. We're going to talk about Common Core, where it comes from, where it's headed, and why so many Republican governors who once stood with Common Core, all of a sudden, they're not standing with it so much.